This is absolutely absurd. As rumors continue to circulate around the New York Rangers, they are now linked to the hottest and biggest free agent in the crop this offseason. We're going to break down who this is and why this will have a significant impact on the culture and the roster for this New York Rangers team, and why some fans are absolutely fired up about it. We're going to break it down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers, this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers coverage. And again, it is absolutely free. So go down below, hit that free subscribe button, and you get to stay up to date with everything going on with the New York Rangers. But let's dive right into it. The Rangers, there is a lot of rumors circling the last few days that Chris Drury is going to back up the Brinks truck for none other than Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs, who is, make no mistake about it, the biggest free agent on the market this summer. And by all accounts, we're going to break it down in this video, he is going to hit the market. He is testing free agency. He is going to leave the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is from Matt. And again, many insiders have the scoop on in terms of how much he's going to make, what he's looking for in terms of length of contract, and of course, the fact that he is going to be leaving Toronto. But let's dive right into it. Obviously, Matt believes that it's New York. They love flashy moves and big changes are coming. We know that Chris Drury wants to make a plethora of changes this offseason, including some of the forwards. We know that the defense core is going to get a facelift, or he's going to try to at least, accompany that and have that be a thing. But we'll see if he ends up executing on that. But the Rangers also signed Alexis Lafreniere to a 7-year deal last fall, if everyone can remember. I had a video on that yesterday, but his play did not live up to the contract so far, and obviously it hasn't kicked in. It will kick in this coming season, but the Rangers need a fresh start, and so does Marner. New York isn't the path of least resistance, but GM Chris Drury can make room for him if he identifies Marner as worth the effort. And I mean, if you have the opportunity to land Mitch Marner, I'm sure any GM in this league will free up the salary cap space necessary to make that happen. Now, if you look at Mitch Marner and, his stats last season, over a 100-point player. He finally hit the 100-point plateau for the first time. In terms of regular season, this is an elite player in this league. He's only 28 years old. He's playing upwards of an average of 22 minutes a night. Again, over a 100-point player, played in all but one game this season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He plays on the penalty kill. He's a very effective penalty killer. He plays on the power play, very effective special teams player. And of course, his 5-on-5 numbers speak for themselves as well. He's a good player. Now, the main question mark remains with the playoffs. This, and we're going to get into it, is not a playoff performer. So keep that in mind as we go along here for the New York Rangers if you really want somebody who's going to make a difference. And he will in terms of point production, but the Rangers have a lot of players like that as well. And I think we'll have bounce back seasons. We'll get to that in a bit as well. But here's a list of the likelihood of where Mitch Marner signs. Again, this is from Puck Empire, and it's in his eyes, and this list is very interesting. Obviously, Chicago and Utah are at the top of the list, but we've heard rumblings of not only the New York Islanders, but of course the New York Rangers as well. Not on this list, but I could see him going to the Rangers over teams like the Minnesota Wild or St. Louis Blues as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. And again, I think if Chris Drury has the opportunity to sign him, if there is rumblings, he will free up the necessary cap space to do it. Would I personally make this deal? No, but I could see Chris Drury freeing up the necessary cap space to go ahead and make this deal. Now, there's conflicting reports and conflicting opinions on this player. It's almost 50-50 at some points, right? From NYR Louis, and a lot of the fan base from the Toronto fan base does believe that Mitch Marner is a great player and they should retain his services. Mitch Marner with 10 assists in 9 playoff games. He's an 85 expected goals percent, killing penalties, and only been on the ice for 1 5-on-5 goal. The Rangers need a big game riser like him. Now, the thing is, you could look at all those stats at face value, but unless you watch the games, you wouldn't know that Mitch Marner isn't necessarily a playoff performer. He shrinks in the games that matter. He shrinks in games 5, 6, and 7 of a series when it matters the most. And a lot of the series, of course, now we didn't even see a sweep this year so far. So a lot of these series do go that length. And again, if you look at a lot of the stats on paper, it looks great, puts up a lot of points in the first 2 games of a series. We know that. But then again, he shrinks when the series get tougher and when they go longer. So keep that in mind. Not necessarily a playoff performer. Of the 25 top point per game scores of the last 20 years. Only 11 have made the playoffs in the last in at least 7 of their first 9 years. And those names include Kucherov, Patrick Kane, Pavel Datsyuk, Malkin, Crosby, Tkachuk, Rantanen, Pasternak, Panarin, Marner, and Matthews. Guess which two didn't make the conference final in any of their runs. Marner and Matthews. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of New York Rangers that have made the conference final. So keep that in mind. Not necessarily a playoff performer. And I feel like if the Rangers are going to spend that much money on a player like that, especially when you still have Panarin on the team, I mean, those two can absolutely light it up on the power play. That would be incredible to watch. But having Panarin on the team, I don't think that you can spend this much money on a player that only shows up for the regular season. So I would say this is a bad move. They shouldn't do it, but I can see Chris Drury backing up the Brinks truck for this player. So we're going to see what he ends up doing. And again, from Leaf fans, there's a lot of reaction from not only Leaf fans, but a lot of other people and hockey fans out there. Matthews' comment about too many passengers in the post-game press conference of Game 7 said that there was too many passengers and the top guys didn't even show up. Absolutely ridiculous comment. Marner agreed with that comment. He was screaming at the bench to wake up. There's so many guys on that team that lay their body on the line that aren't the top guys, and you have the top guys yelling at them. The bottom 6 carried the energy. And again, that is something to keep in mind. If you're going to spend that money and you want to spend that money, keep that in mind with this player. And this is from Sid60 as well, media personality out in Toronto. And Mitch Marner, who's played most of his career with the best goal scorer of this generation, has one 100-point season. It was this year with 102 points. He lacks size, aggression, and maturity. Any organization that gives him a dime more than what Mikko Rantanen will get what they deserve, which is nothing. So again, if you want to look at comparables, it is probably Mikko Rantanen. We'll get into what he's going to make in a second, but if you look at this, not a playoff performer. Don't think you should spend the money on a guy who is not a playoff performer. The Maple Leafs in winter take all games since 2018, 0-7. They only have 9 goals in those 7 games. They have 28 goals against. Their power play is 1 for 11 in those games. Their save percentage, which doesn't include has nothing to do with Marner, .893. But Matthews and Marner in those 7 games have 5 points combined. He's not a big game player. I don't know if you should give that much money to a player who isn't a big game player. And now this is the biggest thing here and how much he's going to make. At one point, the Maple Leafs were comfortable with giving him 8 years at 13.5. And it seems like they are no longer comfortable with that and have basically rescinded their offer at this point. Now, this is from the 4th period in David Pagnotta. And he says if Mitch Marner ends up hitting free agency on July 1st, he's expected to command over $13 million per season. So either 13 or 13.5, maybe even 14 for some teams. I could see Utah dishing that out. Again, the Chicago Blackhawks need a player there to play with Connor Bedard. But I could also see the New York Rangers giving out $13 million. And I know everyone's like rolling their eyes. Where are they going to find that? Chris Drury, as he's done before, will find the money to make that work. But it's an interesting idea. Let me know in the comments what you think about Mitch Marner potentially joining the New York Rangers. I think they're one of the teams in the mix. They are certainly going to be one of the teams in the mix, at least just poking their head in and seeing what's up. So let me know what you think about that. Again, he can score 100 points. We saw it this year. He scored 99 in the past. He's a guy who can play in all situations. An elite player in the regular season, but has not gotten it done in the playoffs. And I think that's worrisome if you're going to give that much money if you are the Rangers in the current position you are in. The last thing I will say before I wrap up, though, this team does have JT Miller, who is known to push buttons and push players in the right direction, but it doesn't always work that way. So that could be something that maybe the Rangers think, could help Marner, could push him. But I don't know, too many risks with that involved. So we'll see what ends up happening this free agency. But let me know in the comments what you think of Mitch Marner. I personally wouldn't make this move. He's not a playoff performer. The Rangers cannot afford to wrap that much money up in a player like that. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.